All right, next up, we have one of the greatest anti-war journalists in the country. It is Max Blumenthal, editor of the Grayzone.
All right. I was supposed to be in Kingston, New York today at another anti-war rally, but Pete Buttigieg canceled my flight, so not really. My flight was canceled, so I decided to see all the nice folks down here and all the FBI agents undercover. Got any FBI agents out there? Raise your hand. I hope the investigation into Trump's assassination turns out well, because I know they're looking to see if there are any other people involved in it. And when they find them, the FBI promises they'll fire them. I actually wanted to come down here because we are living through probably the most dangerous period that I can remember since the 9/11 attacks. And so I just had a message about that. The 9/11 attacks were blowback for decades of US militarism and CIA covert operations in the Middle East and Central Asia. And hours after the 9/11 attacks, the national security state began to consolidate its control over America and embarked on an insane campaign to destroy large swaths of the Middle East in the name of Pax Americana. Was it really Pax Americana, though? A Kamala Harris surrogate named Dick Cheney marched into the Pentagon days after 9/11 with a list of 7 countries whose governments had to be overthrown. And these 7 countries all happened to be governments that were adversarial towards Israel. Around that time, someone who was the opposition leader in Israel named Benjamin Netanyahu testified before the US Senate that he was confident that Saddam Hussein had ties with Al-Qaeda and possessed weapons of mass destruction. And on that list that Cheney and Rumsfeld were passing alongside Iraq and Libya and Syria, was also Lebanon, a country where a powerful paramilitary force, paragovernmental force with massive popular support, had just kicked out Israeli military occupiers in 2000. It was called Hezbollah. Yesterday, following a wave of terror across Lebanon, including exploding batteries in communication devices that left thousands maimed and children killed, people's eyes burned out, Israel commenced bombing southern Beirut with 2,000-pound US-supplied bunker buster bombs and destroyed an entire city block about the size of the World Trade Center of Ground Zero in order to kill one man, and that man was Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader who had ejected Israel's military from southern Lebanon and who is branded a terrorist because of his resistance to Israel. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds were killed. 6 entire residential apartment blocks were destroyed in order to kill one man. This was an act of unsheathed, naked state terrorism. And today, President Joe Biden offered this is the self-described Irish Zionist President Joe Biden offered his full-throated endorsement of this act of state terror. And in doing so, Joe Biden embraced the same logic that Al-Qaeda put forward when it took credit for bombing the World Trade Center on 9/11. Joe Biden embraced the same logic that Thomas Matthew Crooks put forward when he attempted to drive a car full of explosives into a Trump rally, killing hundreds and hundreds of people in order to assassinate one man. It is the logic of state terror that is being embraced by the Biden administration. And we will pay the price as Americans. Terror begets terror. Our government, which allowed Benjamin Netanyahu to authorize this terrorist attack on Lebanon from a hotel room in New York City, has unleashed a whirlwind. And they will lie to us when the blowback arrives about why it took place, just as they lied to us about 9/11. We will pay the price as average Americans. American troops will pay the price. But these soft-handed elites in their air-conditioned offices, they are going to just get paid. October 7th, like 9/11, was blowback. Blowback for decades of illegal, sadistic occupation of the Palestinian people and 2 decades of crushing siege, which I witnessed on several trips to the Gaza Strip. October 7th, like 9/11, justified everything that Israel's national security elite wanted to accomplish, from ethnic cleansing and genocide to the expansion of Greater Israel. Now, after October 7th, the mask of Greater Israel is off, and we have to wonder, where does it start? And where does this borderless entity end? Does it end in Israel? Or has it come to us through figures like Secretary of State Tony Blinken, who is the son-in-law and grandson of Israel lobbyists, who is raised by the father, by the man who was the fixer for Robert Maxwell, the Israeli Mossad asset, whose daughter was Ghislaine Maxwell, who told an AIPAC meeting in 2007 that his loyalty to Israel's strength came through his family, who sat in on an Israeli war cabinet meeting after October 7th and announced that he was doing so not as an American diplomat, but as a Jew, who, as a Jew, gave Israel just now $20 billion more in tank shells and 2,000-pound bombs to continue its genocide in Gaza, which has left over 50,000 dead, over 70% of whom are women and children, who lied to Congress and violated American law about Israel blocking US humanitarian aid to Gaza, because if you block US humanitarian aid, it necessitates cutting off weapons. Tony Blinken lied. Tony Blinken became a party to genocide, and he said he did so as a Jew. Well, I'm here as a Jew to say that Tony Blinken might be my color, but he's not my kind. I'm an anti-Zionist Jew, and that means that I'm a Jew who is part of the human family. And I put humanity first. I'm a Jew who is not an ethno-supremacist like Tony Blinken and Jake Tapper and Josh Shapiro and Dana Bash and all the members of Congress who clapped like seals for Netanyahu as though he was the real president of the United States. I'm a Jew who, when I give my 3-year-old daughter a bath or put her to bed, I look at my phone and I see 3-year-old girls being extracted from the rubble of buildings bombed with American bombs in Gaza, covered in ash and blood, their lifeless bodies being laid on the floor and covered in funeral shrouds. And I can't help but be seared by this for the rest of my life, scarred by the Zionist Holocaust of children. And I will never forgive them, and I will never forget what they have done. I'm also, like all of you, an American who believes in the Constitution and understands that it gave us the right, the First Amendment gave us the right to be here and to say what I'm saying. And I might not be able to say what I'm saying in places like the United Kingdom without being detained, like my colleague Kit Clarenberg was for his journalism for the Grayzone. The First Amendment is under attack by Greater Israel through the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which weaponizes anti-Semitism to shut down speech. We are seeing anti-Semitism, the hoax of anti-Semitism being used to criminalize the speech of university professors, average American citizens, to ban protest on college campuses across America. And I wonder how someone like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who says that he supports the First Amendment and stands for free speech and opposes war, can support this sadistic, satanic, evil entity that is shutting down free speech while committing genocide across the Gaza Strip and Lebanon, and why he won't face me and answer for this. Could it be that Miriam Adelson, the Zionist mafia don from Israel, who is granted $100 million to Donald Trump, is also exerting influence on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and others. We've seen her turn the America First movement into the Israel First movement. And now we have two parties that are committed to genocide, and no one knows what to do. We need to find a way out of this hopelessness, and we need to register AIPAC as a foreign agent and let the espionage investigations begin and see its directors sent to prison where they're forced to hold kosher soap on a rope. Just in closing, I want to bring this home. We're bringing it home to you who are Americans. You might think, oh, this is just something that's happening over there 6,000 miles away. It doesn't affect me. Israel's carrying out this genocide with a new system called the gospel. It is an artificial intelligence targeting system that generates targets in record time and allows Israel to kill and target families in their homes through a computer without human intervention. And it's being developed by companies in the United States like Palantir. And when Israel's done testing these weapons, these Skynet-like weapons, which recall the opening scene of Terminator 2, the war of the humans against the machine, when they're done, they're going to export them, and they're going to be exported to any country and any government that has a restive population that resists and that refuses to take a knee for whatever their orders might be, along with Israel's unprecedented, unparalleled surveillance system. And it will come here, and it is coming here, and it is being tested on the canaries in the coal mine in Gaza. And that is why Palantir's CEO, Alex Karp, a committed Zionist, declared while seated next to former CENTCOM chief Mark Milley, just a few months ago in Washington, D.C., declared that if these student protests and these protests against genocide in Gaza and the anti-war movement in the U.S. grows and is allowed to continue to grow, and we can't shut them down through repression, then we will lose the war on ideas, and we will not be able to send armies from the West to fight around the world. And he's right, and that is a good thing. Those are the stakes. So we stand in the way of that dystopian program. We need to unite, get over our ridiculous differences over the culture wars and all the social issues that are thrown in our way, and unite against the war machine and rage against the war machine. Thank you.